I'm continuing my reading, and what I'm doing in this series is read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I'm reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be jumping around a little bit as I move along. Right now, I am still in Deuteronomy, and this is chapter 15. Every 7 years, all debts shall be released, care for poor enjoined, Hebrew servants to be released and given gifts during 7th year. Firstling males of herds and flocks are the Lord's. So, sounds like more review. So, let's see. At the end of every 7 years, thou shalt make a release, and this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lendeth aught unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact it of his neighbor, or of his brother, because it is called the Lord's release. Of a foreigner thou mayest exact it again, but that which is thine with thy brother thine hand shall release, save when there shall be no poor among you. For the Lord shall greatly bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it. Only if thou carefully hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all these commandments which I command thee this day. For the Lord thy God blesseth thee as he promised thee. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. And thou shalt reign over many nations, but thou shalt not reign. But they shall not reign over thee. Okay, so yeah, this is just a review. Remember, every 7 years the debts were to be forgiven. So this is every 50 years. The inheritance is to be returned to the original person. So this is just a cancellation of debt. So you borrow $1,000, and at the end of 7 years, and every 7 years, those debts are canceled. But it does say you don't cancel the debts to foreigners. And in this case, a stranger or an alien, those are foreigners who are currently residing within the nation. But when it says foreigner, that means somebody who is residing in a foreign land. Those debts aren't canceled. And it also says here, it's very interesting, that save when there shall be no poor among you. In other words, this is done so that the poor and needy are taken care of. This is to prevent endless recurring debt that can't be undone. But if you are living as we're supposed to in a Zion-like community, there is no poor. And if you have those conditions, then this law no longer applies, because this law is there to help the poor. But if there is no poor, then there's none that need this law to be in effect. It's very interesting. Verse 7, though. Here we go. If there be among you a poor man of one of thy brethren within any of thy gates in thy land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thine heart, nor shut thine hand from thy poor brother. But thou shalt open thine hand wide unto him, and shalt surely lend him sufficient for his need, in that which he wanteth. Beware that there be not a thought in thy wicked heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release is at hand, and thine eye be evil against thy poor brother, and thou givest him not, and he cry unto the Lord against thee, and it be sin unto thee. Thou shalt surely give him, and thine heart shall not be grieved when thou givest unto him, because that for this thing the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thy works, and in all that thou puttest thine hand unto. For the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command thee, saying, thou shalt open thine hand wide unto thy brother, to the poor, and to the needy in thy land. So in other words, and again, it's a review, but it's good to review. So, in other words, it's every 7 years. It's not 7 years after you make the loan. It's just every 7 years. So if they ask you for a loan on the 6th year, and you say, well, come back next year after the time of release is over, then we can talk about it. Now you are breaking the law. You are sinning against God. and against your fellow man, because you are not helping the poor. You are refusing to help the poor out of your own greed. Now, I will also say that it doesn't state it here, but it would be expected under this law that even if there's only a year or less until the release, the person borrowing the money should still do everything in their power to pay back as much as they can before the time of release comes. So if I'm going to borrow $1,000 and I make no attempt to pay it back, then in the year of release, the debt is forgiven. There's no exemption made saying, oh, he never even attempted to pay it back, so I don't have to. All debt is canceled. But if you make no attempt to pay it back, then it's not. You're not saying I'm not going to. If somebody refuses you a loan because you never try to pay it back, it's not that they're saying, oh, I don't want to loan to you because then I have to forgive it in 7 years. It's that you don't even attempt to. So I think that is implied in this law, that the poor will do everything they can to pay it back. And I want to point this out. This last thing here. It says, wanteth, right? Thou shalt surely lend him sufficient for his need in that which he wanteth. Now, in the modern day, the term want generally refers to a desire. I want a turkey dinner. Do I need it? Not necessarily. The two words are almost opposites in meaning. One is a need, one is just a desire. But here in the scriptures, the term wanteth is a synonym for lack. If I am wanting food, it's not that I have a desire for food, it's that I don't have it. I lack food. If I have food, I need it, I still need it, but I also have it, and so I can fill that need. To want something is to lack something. So I may need food, and if I don't have it, then I also want food because I am not able to fill that need. Therefore, I have a need and a want. And that's what it says here. Sufficient for his need in that which he wanteth. So you give him what he needs to survive. And you give him those things that he doesn't already have. If I've already got water, I've got enough to drink, you don't need to give me another barrel of water. I've got my needs and I've got my wants. But if I don't have sufficient in food to feed me and my family, then I have a need and I have a want. So make sure we understand the difference here, that this isn't just talking about desire. Anyways, verse 12. And if thy brother, an Hebrew man or an Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free from thee. And when thou sendest him out from thee, when thou sendest him out free from thee, thou shalt not let him go away empty. Thou shalt furnish him liberally out of thy flock, and out of thy floor, and out of thy winepress, of that wherewith the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, thou shalt give unto him. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in the land of Egypt. And the Lord thy God remembered thee, and the Lord thy God redeemed thee. Therefore I command thee this day today. I keep getting this mixed up. And thou shalt, starting back over verse 15. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in the land of Egypt, and the Lord thy God redeemed thee. Therefore I command thee this thing today. And it shall be, if he say unto thee, I will not go away from thee, because he loveth thee and thine house, because he is well with thee, then thou shalt take an awl and thrust it through his ear unto the door. And he shall be thy servant forever. And also unto thy maidservant thou shalt do likewise. It shall not seem hard unto thee when thou sendest him away free from thee, for he hath been worth a double hired servant to thee, in serving thee 6 years. And the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all that thou doest. This is again a review of the law that the Hebrew slaves had to be released, but could choose to be life slaves. But if you remember, once they made the choice, the ear is bored through with an awl. Basically, they're given an earring brand, and then that choice is made. They cannot choose to go out after that. Let us finish this quickly. Verse 19. All the firstling males that come of thy herd and of thy flock thou shalt sanctify unto the Lord thy God. Thou shalt do no work with the firstling of thy bullock, nor shear the firstling of thy sheep. Thou shalt eat it before the Lord thy God year by year in the place which the Lord shall choose, thou and thy household. And if there be any blemish therein, as if it be lame or blind, or have any ill blemish, thou shalt not sacrifice it unto the Lord thy God. Thou shalt eat it within thy gates. The unclean and the clean person shall eat it alike, as the roebuck and as the hart. Only thou shalt not eat the blood thereof. Thou shalt pour it upon the ground as water. So this is again the yearly sacrifices of the first fruits. I don't think we need to say much more about that, so I will see you in the next one.